Hello and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me, like always, hopefully without any scares, because first it's Katie. Katie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay. I told my work team this morning, I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
Yeah, we'll just say there was a little bit of a scare throughout the weekend, and that's about it. But everything should be fine. Katie has somewhat promised without using the word
Oh my
promise,
promise.
but we'll see how it goes. I, Katie, there's a lot of PTSD with how me and my wife went through this, so do this to me. But everything is okay. Surprisingly, there's actually a lot of news to talk about.
Yes.
Now, I will say this. There is a piece of news that we're going to talk about. The trailer for the new Outlaws video game. I did not watch it. This video game, because it was a story trailer. I'll be completely honest. I haven't done this before for a video game, nor have I even done it for a movie. But I think this is the first video game that I want to go into completely blind.
Oh, interesting.
And if you don't mind, I think we should go ahead and start with that one because I think that's what started off the news kind of last.
Nope,
No, it wasn't.
nope. Outlaw trailer came out yesterday. Um, and then Tales of the Empire came out Thursday.
Oh, that's right. And
Yes.
then even before that, we got a hold on. Thursday? Oh no, after on Sunday we started getting news about Mandalorian Grogu. We got a date for that
Yep.
as well. Um More video game news for Outlaws. Got some more insight on Acolyte and book news. Today is stacked.
I was not
So
expecting all of this news.
neither was I. Like it was a little bit of a surprise when we started getting like I feel like every day we were getting a little bit of something for Star Wars, which is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. So uh speaking of that, let's go ahead and jump right into, you said Thursday was when we got the big trailer
Yes.
for uh Tales of the Empire. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I watched this trailer either. I think I was busy at
Clay, what are
work.
you doing? You're
I was busy
killing me.
I was busy at work, but I'm watching it now somewhat. It's like it's a very small screen. Let me go ahead and just have this playing in the background. Um but
So, our 2 points of focus
yeah.
for Tales of the Empire are going to be Barriss Offee and Morgan Elspeth.
So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Travis made a joke in our Star Wars Alliance chat saying, "Oh, just what the fandom wants and needs, more Morgan." How do you feel about getting a little bit more of a backstory from Morgan? It looks like we actually see quite possibly the uh introduction of Morgan and Thrawn, possibly? Is that what it's
Yes.
teasing there?
So we do get Thrawn in this, which will be super interesting. Lars Mikkelsen returns to voice him. Um, and I love seeing Thrawn in the Clone Wars animation, and the fact that they changed his face to be a little more like Lars Mikkelsen, I
They
can
changed
appreciate that.
they changed his structure. He's a lot darker tone
Yep.
of blue. Man, there were some thirsty people on the internet on Thursday. Like,
Yes, there
people
was.
need to calm down.
Well, when you can portray the guy accurately in animation, like, it just makes total sense, right? Like, it does intrigue me that they didn't go with the lighter skin tone,
Mhm.
because while we know, okay, the Chiss are dark blue, like, and sorry, y'all, this is just something that I'm very nitpicky about. We've talked about this a lot. Um, but the fact that they chose to go darker makes me wonder if they're going to change up Mickelson's makeup. Because I felt like Mickelson's makeup in the Ahsoka show fit more towards the rebel skin tone.
Hmm.
So it's interesting that they would go, oh no, we're gonna go dark.
Now, this will it's I don't know much about how the Chiss were introduced in Legends. But you just said that they normally have a darker tone of blue. Um, Maybe they're canonizing the fact that, like, as they age, they get lighter in skin tone. I'm not entirely sure. Kind of like how people grow gray hairs, they grow lighter shades of skin tone.
So this was Thrawn in Legends. This was one of the comic appearances.
Okay.
So again, like you see, like he's got like the prominent eyebrow indentations kind of thing. Um, but he has a darker skin tone, and that's just what he has. And you can see like the Thrawn trilogy books and Thrawn Ascendancy books have all chosen to canonize more of a darker blue. So it makes sense that they're going this direction, especially as they've roped in Timothy Zahn. To answer your question, the Chiss were first introduced in the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
Okay.
That was when Thrawn was first introduced, first Legends book, like whole shebang. The species itself, you see later on, in Outbound Flight. I can't remember which comes first. It's either Outbound Flight or the Hand of Thrawn duology.
Okay.
So you get more Chiss there, um, in those two. So, but yeah, Thrawn's not the focus of this trailer.
Well, yeah,
To
yeah, yeah.
answer your question about Morgan, I find this really interesting that they're choosing to go this direction instead of Balin. Specifically because Balin we know is going to be in Ahsoka season 2 and Morgan's dead. But you also have the potential with Asajj coming back into play with whatever's next.
Hmm.
You could expand out and include Morgan in some of Asajj's things.
Hmm.
Expanding the Night Sister as a whole, I think, is going to help flesh out whatever happens next. Because you hear, or I think you see in the captions actually, that Morgan is actually a part of these Sisters of, oh my gosh, the Moon Knight clan or Mountain something,
Hmm.
um, which is in Legends that is a light-sided Night Sister clan.
Okay.
So they're bringing in another thing from Legends in this to kind of add to her backstory. Um, because also it'll help, I think, distinguish because Asajj's Night Sister clan was of a different species. They were not human. Whereas Morgan we see as human.
Hmm.
So, and I think this just helps build out. So I think this makes me think they're gonna go in an exploration, and it will help with what's to come for the future of the Mandoverse because the Night Sisters, the mothers, came back with Thrawn, and we see Dathomir at the end of Ahsoka season 1.
Yeah.
So I think it's just gonna help expand some of their story and just really help focus in on what's to come next, which is I think what Dave has used um this story for
Hmm.
pretty much.
Now, as I'm watching the trailer for now the second time, the second focus on this
Mhm.
trailer, Barris Offee.
Has not made an appearance in 11 years.
Since her last episode on the Clone Wars, this is going to be very interesting. We see in the trailer basically her introduction to being an inquisitor. Like
Mhm.
is what we see. We see the Grand Inquisitor. We see her don like all black robes.
Yep.
Uh it looks
Bowing
really
before Vader.
bowing before Vader at the very end there. We see her uh dueling it out with both the Grand Inquisitor, and I believe there is one shot of her fighting uh oh, no, that wasn't her. That was Morgan again doing oh wait, who is that?
So she's shown fighting between two other people other than the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh,
Um,
there is another Inquisitor that she's dueling.
yeah. So a lot of theories is that she's dueling another potential Inquisitor, and they have to basically duel to the death to decide who's going to be the Inquisitor. Um, and kind of showcase who's the more ruthless. There's also another shot where she's not dueling the potential Inquisitor, but she's dueling somebody else. And a lot of theories are wondering, is that Luminara?
Oh.
Because we know from Rebels that Luminara is dead. She
Hmm.
ended up in Imperial custody, all dead kind of thing. So does Barriss have to off her master as part of her trials?
That would be pretty intense.
It would be, especially for such a show as this. And now there they had specifically said at Celebration last year that um Tales of the Jedi season 2 was coming this
Hmm.
year. Now they do the thing where they transition the Tales of the Jedi logo into Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
So people are like, "Oh no, this is season 2 of Tales of the Jedi," and they just renamed it. But it's labeled as a different show on Disney Plus. And it was specific that this is Tales of the Empire season 1.
There was
So
a
is
little
Tales of the Jedi coming season 2 coming later?
I saw that there was a little bit of a joke. Like somebody posted a whole bunch of logos that had like
Yeah.
Tales of the pilots of the X-Wing, Tales of the Ewoks,
Yep.
Tales of the droids. Um
I mean, you can really expand with this title. Legends had Tales of Jabba's Palace, Tales from the New Republic, Tales from the Empire. I think there was one more too. But like they used this, and this was something that I talked at length about before this podcast even started was, hey, let's have different snapshots and you can see what hits and then pick and choose what can come into play later
yeah.
because that makes the most sense. You're introduced to a wide variety of characters that way. Um, and so while we're retreading some steps, I still find what Filoni has picked to tell in this story, I think it's very intriguing. Barriss as an inquisitor, going back to her, has been theorized for a while now. Like people were like, is she seventh sister? Like that was like the big theory.
Hmm.
I think it was seventh sister, the one in Rebels with like the
Yes.
droids. Um, and like no, she just had no mention at all. So it's intriguing to bring her back right now, and I wonder how this is going to come into play later on, especially because part of the reason Anakin goes to the dark side is because Ahsoka didn't come back to the Jedi Order and the Jedi Order betrayed her.
Yeah.
Specifically because of Barriss. And now Anakin is Vader and is willing to unleash all of this stuff. Are we going to see Vader tormenting Barriss constantly?
That would be interesting. Now, one thing that we have seen, and I don't think the relationship between Barriss and Anakin was strong enough to be able to do this, but like Ahsoka was able to recognize Anakin in
Mm-hmm.
Rebels. Like as soon as they got near each other, I think it was in a space fight,
Yeah.
dog fight, they recognized each other. And
Yep.
Ahsoka had second thoughts on it, like, oh, it couldn't be. So, like, is Barriss gonna be able to do that with Vader? You know?
That'll be a good question. I'm sure we'll find out because I mean I assume we're gonna she's gonna sense Vader's rage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, is this just because he's a Darksider, or is this for a different reason?
Yeah.
But Jason Isaacs returns to voice the Grand Inquisitor. Love him. So happy he's back. Um, I think that was all the recognizable voices. Lars Mikkelsen, um, Jason Isaacs, Diana Lee. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her last name, but the live actress for Morgan Elsbeth does
Yes.
return to voice Morgan, and then Barris Offee's voice actress from the Clone Wars returns to voice her. So,
Mm-hmm.
got all the returners. I know, um, Diana, I think it's his Bonto. She was super excited to return. She was all over Twitter on Thursday. I was like so happy to be back. Like so happy they asked me to stick around, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the other thing I'm curious about, which has nothing to do with Tales of the Empire, is oh my gosh, Fennec Shan's actress. Um Milan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um I'm sorry, I'm terrible at remembering. Um she was at Lucasfilm doing voice work apparently this past week. So the Tales of the Bounty Hunters coming.
Uh, uh, Ming Na Wen.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
it.
We theorized this. You theorized this. I was never really a big fan of the Bounty Hunters comic book, so like I wouldn't be super enthusiastic about it. But for me, if something like Tales of the Bounty Hunters were to happen, I think I would want something that is an anthology throughout the Skywalker saga instead of as of what we saw in Tales of the Jedi and now what we are assuming is going to happen in Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Empire, the timeline is still very
Yeah.
specific. It's in a certain spot. Same thing with Tales of the Jedi. I think the only one was the uh very first episode that showed like the birth of Ahsoka, basically.
Well, and I think Tales of the Empire, we're also going to see Morgan when she takes over that city that she's in The Mandalorian.
Yes,
Because she has the Beskar staff, and then we see
that's
one of the
true. That's
humans
true.
from that episode,
Hmm.
along with an unidentified species. Um, so I think her timeline is gonna expand out. I don't see Barris's expanding out very much.
Yeah,
Now, it looks
I.
like she's been in prison for a while,
Hmm.
so she could be pulled in halfway through the 19 years period or in between. Yeah.
Yeah, but in Bounty Hunters, I think I would want to see an episode for like uh freaking oh shoot, my mind's blanking on all the freaking Bounty Hunters. Uh, like I would want to see Jango Fett. I would want to see Boba Fett. I would want to see Han Solo. You know, I would want to.
Han Solo's not a bounty hunter.
I mean, but like he is.
No.
He collect bounties
No, he didn't.
from time to time.
He did shipping. That's about it. He smuggled.
Okay. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like I want to see from prequel to original to I don't think we got any bounty hunters in the sequel trilogy, did we?
They're in the behind the scenes, kind of things, like some of the expansion stuff. Like the Metal Girl. Um,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
she gets like a short story by Delilah Dawson. Um, so
Um, and then we can just assume that everybody in oh shoot, what's her name?
Kanata's Maz Kanata.
Yeah. her little
There's some
camp,
in there too.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could just assume that everybody in there has some sort of background like that. But yeah, I would like to see an anthology throughout the Star Wars franchise. I think that would be a little bit more entertaining than looking at specific time things for bounty hunters, because I
I
don't
don't
know.
disagree, but I think that defeats the purpose of what Filoni was trying to do with the show, which was tell things more artistically. So,
True, but like I don't know where you would specify for bounty hunters, you know?
yeah.
That's the only reason why I'm kind of saying, hey, it should be an anthology in this way, because I cannot specifically be like, oh, the bounty hunters really thrive during this time of the timeline, you know?
Yeah.
So that's about
Yeah.
it. Um
But we've gone this whole time without even saying the release date. Y'all, this comes out May 4th.
yes, May 4th. Um is there anything? I feel like something else is coming out May 4th. Or is this it?
Um, Sorry, I was laughing at myself. The Phantom Menace is going to theaters
Yes.
May 3rd,
Mhm.
and then the giant Skywalker Saga marathon
Marathon.
starts May 4th. So,
Hell no. Sorry. Like I cannot do it. There was people who did it for the MCU, couldn't do it. Like I can sit down at home and do a marathon. Sure, why not? Cool. Yeah, whatever. I can dictate when to press pause and when to uh you know, grab snacks and stuff. I can dictate that at home. Can't do it in the theater. So no, not gonna do it.
yeah,
Um
that's been my opinion, especially recently.
Next on our list, looking down the timeline on our uh, little chat here, we first got the release dates for the Mandalorian and Grogu, um, which is uh, May
Oh,
22nd.
this was the Jedi, by the way, that um
Yes.
they think is Luminara.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Yeah. I recognize the background of that fight. So yeah. Um.
and then yeah, sorry, I'm scrolling down so I make sure that I have all of my because I was sending like different little notes. But yes, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire listed as separate shows.
Mhm.
So, and then I had something from Star Wars that was deleted by Star Wars apparently.
I see
Um,
that. Weird.
yeah. So then we got movie news.
Mhm.
You already said this, but we got a date, a precise date for The Mandalorian and Grogu. It will be May 22nd, 2026. There's still the opening in December, I believe.
Mhm.
So we could still see the Rey Skywalker movie um, at that date.
Mhm. Yeah, and I believe it is also shared, and I don't think we put it in our notes here in the Star Wars Alliance chat, but um people keep saying that the Dawn of the Jedi, assumed title, um, James Mangold's movie, um, is supposedly going to be his next movie. And then, of course,
Yes,
after
I
that,
did say that because that is what the Hollywood Reporter reported when they said that Beau Willimon is going to be co-writing on that
oh,
movie.
that is in our chat. Okay,
Yes.
I thought it was just the Bo Wilmon
No,
announcement.
it was in the actual article. I didn't put it in the
Okay,
chat.
okay.
Um, but James Mangold is currently filming, I believe, I don't know what it is, but it's an A24 movie about
Hmm.
like a musician, and then this is supposed to be his next movie. He's not signed on for anything other than Swamp Thing at
Yes.
DC.
Hmm.
But apparently DC is not moving forward with Swamp Thing ASAP because they've got other things coming down the pipeline.
Hmm.
So, it makes sense for Mangold to go, okay, I'll go do Star Wars first. But talking about Willimon, as I scroll away from the chat like a dummy, Willimon wrote probably the most beloved episodes of Andor, I
Yeah.
would say, which is really good sign.
I am really excited about this. Of course, like you said, the Narkina 5 arc and the uh, What Have I Sacrificed speech were both written
Yes.
by Wilmon. This gets me super excited about the stakes of the movie as well as the tone. Um, so and then of course it's also Mangold. So like I think that this also helps get a good idea on
Yeah.
how the movie will kind of play out tone wise. Um, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a darker movie.
Yeah, and especially bringing the Andor writer in, like, that totally shows you how much confidence that Lucasfilm has in
Hmm.
what they put out with Andor. Like, I know Andor didn't hit the viewing marks that Mandalorian has had, but the fact that you were like, "No, we're not picking." Well, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are the only one who have really written on the Mandoverse stuff,
Yeah,
but the fact that they're not saying, "Oh yeah, Dave Filoni's gonna co-write," like, no, we're gonna bring in this guy to do it. Like, that shows how much faith they have in that series and how much love they have for what went down.
yeah,
Um, and the Narkina 5 arc did get them Emmy nominations.
yeah,
So, guest actor and I think script. So, well done. I'm super impressed. I'm loving that they brought him in.
yeah. Same. I think this is a very good move, and hopefully this is how they consider other writers when pushing forward with other
Yep,
films as well.
for sure. And also, just remember that just because Bo is one of the first co-writers on here doesn't mean that there won't be other co-writers to come in and freshen up the script later on. Just saying. Been over this with the Rey Skywalker movie. Not doing it again, people. Not doing it. Um, okay, so I have a High Republic Phase 3 issue number 6 thing.
Yes,
Do we
the
want to
preview.
talk about it? Because technically it's spoilers because it just came out today.
I would say let's hold off because usually when it comes to uh
It is in the
spoiler,
preview, so it's not like
it is. You know what? In that case, why don't you go ahead? Since it's a
okay.
preview, since it's been out there in the public for quite some time now, I think this was posted back on the 5th of this month. So it's been out for about 5 days. So uh go ahead and
So issue number 6 actually goes back in the past because issue number 5, and again, spoilers if you're reading this comic. Please skip ahead like 5 minutes because this isn't going to take very long. But um, issue number 5 for the High Republic Phase 3 comic, and Clay and I are both aren't reading this, but we follow the previews.
mhm,
But issue number 5 revealed that Tay Sarek is still alive, and actually rescued Keeve and the twins, and was trying to help them out. So the preview takes us back to about a year after the end of Phase 2, and we see a convocation council meeting, basically, on
yeah.
Jeddah. And this is really the only thing I wanted to talk about out of this, but it looks like, actually, that Vildar and Tay became a couple and started living together on Jeddah,
Mhm.
which props. Everybody saw this coming, and, like, I think we don't get very much male or, I guess, gay relationships, in Star Wars.
Mhm.
So props to the team at the High Republic for like putting this together and making it so that a ship came true
Yeah.
because they were definitely shipped in phase 2. So that's all I wanted to talk about. There's more context to that, but you can go look at the preview pages or read the comic. We Clay and I are both waiting until it comes on Marvel Unlimited or the trade comes out.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I was like, yes, yes, Kevin, yes.
So after that, I think we have the oh shoot.
Furor novel that we talked about last week.
Yes. It has been taken down on the Penguin Random House site, but I believe it is still on Amazon with a different
Yes,
date now.
yes. So it is still on Amazon. Somebody posted it actually, I think yesterday, that the Amazon listing was still up. And the only version available is a Kindle version, and its release date has changed to March 18th, 2025, which does make sense for a Gap novel release because Trials of the Jedi is supposed to be coming out in the summer of 2025.
Hmm.
So you've got something missing for that spring release time that Random House Worlds typically hits. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's again no longer on the Penguin Random House website. So,
Yeah. And back to movie news with Mandalorian and Grogu. It starts filming this summer in LA, then in the UK after that, noting that not everything will be filmed in the volume. This is the smartest move that they did with this movie. Of
yep,
course, famously, this show is usually completely filmed in the volume for every single season. This having actual sets and location like shots, I think is very, very good considering I think this was one of the wants for us when we
yeah,
first talked about this movie coming out, is that it needed to get outside of the volume to really show its production.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Now, and I think it was either this or the release date announcement that had that Pedro Pascal would return to star in the movie. That was actually some clickbait stuff that kind of took the writing the wrong way, I'm going to assume, because the article, whichever article it was, specifically said the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is based on the Mandalorian show that stars Pedro Pascal.
Hmm.
So it's still we have no word on if Pedro Pascal is going to return or not.
Yeah.
So the
But
next
this
bit up is Star Wars Outlaws.
Outlaws, yes, we got a story trailer from
Mhm.
them. I think it's like a good like 2 minute long trailer. Um, shows a lot of stuff. Again, a little spoiler because it is a story trailer. But we got a release date with this August 30th, and this is a lot sooner than what most people thought.
Yeah,
This, of course, is right after summer. Most people were thinking that this was going to be coming in the holiday season, somewhere in November, maybe December, quite possibly delayed all the way until the beginning of 2025. That's what
yeah,
a lot of people were probably aiming towards as far as like, hey, we're expecting this to come out here. Having it come out in August 30th is really, really exciting. Now, for me, I need to start saving for this game now. Just because of the way that I have been purchasing games recently. I don't buy a new game until I finish the one that I got. I bought a new game like 2 months ago and I still haven't beaten it. So I'm really needing to finish that game. And it's a slow time. Like it is taking me forever. But I'm really excited about this. I know that Brent, also in the GUA, was really excited about this. He saw the trailer. Not a big video gamer. So if people who are interested in this want to know what type of game this is, for one, I highly recommend looking at the footage of this game, kind of getting the feel of what this will be. This is not going to be like your uh, Jedi Survivor or your Fallen Order game. This is going to be a third person shooter. You are a character who we have seen is some sort of bounty hunter. Um, So it's
I think she's just technically a scoundrel. She's
Scoundrel.
not labeled as a bounty hunter.
I know that she like because I think the very first trailer had her. I think she was running away from bounty hunters. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. That's why I keep getting the mention in there. Um, but uh, it looks really really fun. You have like some sort of like pet companion. You also have a droid, um, and there's going to be like space travel as well. Like one of the biggest things for developing games here recently for a lot of people who are trying to kind of get the fantasy of like space travel and everything. The hardest thing that most games have not been able to do is to get the actual real time traveling from inside a planet's atmosphere to outer space.
I do think they skipped that based on something Matt said earlier. I don't have the article in front of me, but
What?
yeah. So I can't remember what the article actually said, but it he said that the developers had chosen to eliminate the ability, maybe it was to fly around the planet, so maybe not like so you still have to go to like a specific spot on like
Ah, that kind of sucks. But from what we saw in the first trailers, you can leave the Earth's atmosphere and go into space. So it may not be as free willing as they first initially thought, but still having that first initial, leaving the planet's atmosphere is something that a lot of games haven't been able to do yet. And having it here still gives you a little bit more of that like shock and awe feeling when actually flying these things. So I think that's going to be a big thing that a lot of people gravitate towards as far as like one of the reasons why they choose to play this game.
yeah,
Um, so it's going to be a lot of fun for any parents out there. I believe this game is set to be M for mature, so
yeah.
just be aware of that when purchasing this game for a younger family member or your own children or whatever. But yeah, it still looks like a lot of fun, and I think that I'm probably, like I said, gonna buy it day one.
So I am gonna talk about this point. Um a, Matt said he was interested by the story trailer and would definitely buy it. He did seem disappointed because uh and we have talked about this kind of previously, but the reputation system specifically,
Hmm.
because this game is actually between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi
Yeah.
time frame. Which if you're interested in like further diving down into where we are in the timeline, it's between War of the Bounty Hunters and Crimson Reign, specifically.
Hmm.
Which are two comic books written by Charles Soule, detailing how Jabba got Han in Kryptonite, and then
Carbonite.
Kira's Carbonite. Oh my gosh, sorry. I said Kryptonite, didn't
Hmm.
I? um, so Crimson Reign is then Kira's war against the Empire kind of starting and everything. Um, Crimson Dawn is specifically mentioned. Um, and we do see Kira in the trailer. She is not voiced by Amelia Clark, but she is in
This
the
is the
trailer.
interesting thing because any big time character that we have seen on screen, whether that be animated or live action in video games, they have voiced their character. And we're not getting Emilia Clark in this game.
But Amelia Clark is Amelia Clark.
Yes, I do think that, like, although I will say this, there are some really big movie stars that have made their way into video games. Um, I do think that Amelia Clark does still have somewhat of the it factor in Hollywood where she can pass on a video game appearance
Yeah.
and do other things. I'm not saying that she's too good for video games. Don't want to say that or, make that assumption or anything. But, you know, you got to pay fair wages, even if it is a big time movie star or
Yeah.
TV star. Like you can't kind of be like, oh, I know you're a big name or whatever, but we can only pay you $40, for this line and $20 for this line. Like
Yeah.
it's voice work and it's gonna be fair all around. So
Yeah.
if her rates are kind of outrageous and the studio can't, dish that out, then that's what they have to do.
Yeah. And, like, it's totally confirmed that it is Kira in it. Um, so I'm excited to see what happens. I know I plan on watching Matt play a couple rounds. But because of where it's at in the timeline, you can't really the reputation system, I don't think is going to have a super big effect. Like, I think you're gonna have to end up at a specific reputation in order to proceed with the game. Um, so yeah, I think that's what it just is gonna kinda boil down to.
Yeah.
I'll be
Mhm.
right back.
Um, so after that, we have some book news. Some things that were revealed. I believe it was Michael. Uh, of course, we know Michael. He is the creative director of Lucasfilm Publishing. Um, he announced or revealed, should I say, the covers uh, for some books in, I believe it. What did he say earlier today? Um, oh gosh, I just had his tweet. I guess that means it's time to reveal something else in Wave 2. And he revealed two books, Beware the Nameless and Tears of the Nameless. Of course, the Beware the Nameless is by Zoraida Cordova, and Tears of the Nameless is written by George Mann. These covers are gorgeous, absolutely amazing. Some insight on some of these. We actually got a little bit of insight on, I believe, uh, Tears. Was it Tears of the Nameless? Or was it. No, Beware the Nameless from Zoraida. Um, Beware the Nameless, she stated, is for the Axel girlies because it has a strong convergence phase 2 tie. Um, I'm really excited about this. I know Katie is going to be really excited for this because Convergence was one of our top rated books in phase 2. We do see the return of Tep Tep and Kildo in the uh, Beware the Nameless book. This is the younger reader novel, I believe. Um, but yeah, really excited about these two books. Phase 3 so far has been great. Of course, the next one is going to be Temptations of the Force coming out, I believe, in about 2 months from now. Uh, or a month from now? 2 months from now? God, no, a month from now. Yeah, almost a month. Holy crap. Um, but yeah, that is, I believe, everything. Um, there is a new character that is debuted on the cover of uh, Beware the Nameless is Churro the Hut. Um, this he looks a little bit adorable. He is a hut. He has like these cool looking goggles and a green vest. Really like the look. Uh, and guys, you just have to look at these covers yourself. They look great. I like the look of, like I said, I like the look of Churro the Hut. Um, I love that Tep Tep is back and Kildo.
Yeah.
Um, who are the Jedi on Tears of the
So,
Nameless?
these 2 books, Zoraida's book, uh, is going to be out at the end of August, and then George Mann's book, Tears of the Nameless is going to be out at the end of September.
Okay.
Um, and the two Jedi on the front of, I can't remember the titles, but it's George Mann's book.
Tears.
Is Wreath Silas, is the one on the far left.
Okay.
And then Amadeo Azazo, who was in the Tales of Light and Life short
hmm
story. And then he made an appearance in Defy the Storm.
Yes.
Um, those two are on the cover of George Mann's book. Yeah, and I was gonna say something else. Anyways, so the Greylark connection. So, can you share the covers or no?
Yes, I can share them right now. Let me actually present. Share
Sorry, guys, I'm on
screen.
my iPad, so it
All right.
doesn't want to let me share anything. So this is Beware the Nameless. I was like, they both have something to do with Nameless. So we got, I believe that's Kildo in the middle, and then
No,
um,
no. Oh yeah. Tep Tep is the girl, is the female,
yep,
and
which Tep
then
Tep is trans. We didn't say that in our review. I didn't catch that, but Tep
oh,
Tep is trans, by the way.
oh, okay. And then Kildo, and then Churro is the hut. And then
The far
Tears.
left character, hang on, the far left
Oh,
character is Zinni Greylark.
oh, oh.
Yes. There's a Greylark connection right there, smack dab in the middle, or on the left of the cover, or right, whatever way you want to look at it.
I need to
Um,
know who her grandparents are.
well, her grandparents would be
Ax.
her father's grandfather would be Axel,
Yeah, I need to know
but
who.
who's the mother? Who's the
Who's.
grandmother?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
So yes, that is a connection that's built there, and so Ranja on Twitter talked to Zoraida earlier, and she was like, um, there is a strong convergence phase two tie. So I'm like, what? What is the connection? I must know. Ah!
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, Now here's the question:
Mhm.
Is the rebellious side of Axel going to be passed down, or like, because I feel like you Zoraida saying, "Oh, this is for the Axel girlies," like you can't not have some of either his suave or his scoundrelness
Yep.
in there when you say this is for the Axel girlies. Like you have to put something in there. Um I'm really excited about this. I didn't know that. Having that tie-in specifically, um for one, makes me, like I said, really interested in her ancestry, as far as who was crazy enough to have babies with Axel, but also like if it's somebody that we know, that would also be really exciting. Um, but yeah, the very, very fun tie-in there. But I think that is it for news.
Yes. So, Michael Siglain did also say there will be more coming for Wave 2 specifically.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And Tom had said, I think it was last week, that he had just gotten the manuscript for a book that we don't know about. So I'm wondering if the audio drama is going to be announced as something to get
oh
us
yeah.
over for holiday 2024.
That would make
Um,
sense.
Especially with both comics coming to an end, because both comics are supposed to end with the eighth issue, I
hmm
think. So It'll be interesting to see what comes next. But release dates for those two books, because I have those pulled up now. Beware the Nameless, Zoraida Cordova's book, is going to be out August 27th, 2024. And Tears of the Nameless, George Mann's book, September 24th, 2024.
Wait, did you just say August 27th?
Yeah.
No.
What's August 27th?
Katie, August 27th, August 30th. Outlaws, and now this book.
It's going to take you 4 days to read. It's going to take you
Uh,
4 hours to read the middle grade book.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be really quick. I mean, hopefully, let's cross our fingers and let's pray to Disney Publishing that we get these books early. But like, if we don't get these books early, like, which has only happened like once or twice in the last year, so we'll
Yeah, we can cross our fingers that Disney Publishing loves us.
yes.
So,
So still lots of Star Wars, guys. Lots
yeah.
of Star Wars in the future. Really, really excited about all of it.
May 4th, June 4th, June 11th. And then we skip some time.
Mhm.
And then August 27th, August 30th, September 24th. Skeleton
It's
Crew, where are you at?
it's
Where are you
almost
gonna be?
it's almost their step. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's maybe like a week or two between everything.
Yeah,
That we
because September and then what was it? October 15th is the Mace Windu book. So
Mhm. Yeah. Like again, like for all of those people that are always complaining that we're not getting enough stuff or that like, oh, I need my fix. Like we're spoiled. I'm sorry. Like
we're spoiled.
Star Wars fans are spoiled. I know that we have had a little bit of a dry spell from movies, but that's coming back,
Hopefully, knock on wood.
so I think we're doing good. But let's go ahead and jump into our main topic, which
Yes.
is The Bad Batch, episode 12, season 3, not season 1. Little inside joke there. But we got this episode is titled
The Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut. Now, was uh this brought back a character, Katie, that I literally had to Google because I completely
See?
forgot. No.
Okay. Oh, Rampart.
Rampart. I completely forgot about Rampart. Also because his facial hair threw me off. Seeing him, I was like, who the heck is that? And like hearing the name Rampart, I was like, that doesn't ring any bells. What's going on here? We haven't seen Rampart
Since the
since,
mid-season of season 2.
yeah, it's been forever since we've seen Rampart.
I don't remember much, but my pregnancy brain, for some reason, remembered Rampart in the exact episode that he had last been in. So,
Not me, not me. When I was like, who the heck? Why would this person know where Tantus is? Like, why are they so dead set on getting this guy? And then I Googled him and his picture showed up. I was like, that guy. I hate that guy. But yeah, we get Rampart in this episode. That is the Bad Batch side of this episode, while we also get an Omega side of this story. We get to go back to Tantus.
yep.
Very, very little. We get little spurts before we actually end the episode in Tantus on a very dramatic line, should I say. But Katie, how'd you feel about this episode? Do you think that this was kind of like a lower end of the episodes? Because like I said, I think it was back in uh bad territory, or like there was one episode not so long ago where I had said like, this wasn't the greatest episode, but it wasn't the worst episode. It's an okay episode. And I feel
Yeah.
like this was one of those episodes that it wasn't like exuberant, it wasn't bombastic. There's still a little bit of action in there. But this was a little bit of a slower tempoed episode, I believe.
Yeah, it was definitely slower tempo. Um, but I think this episode was better than the last one.
Mhm.
Where we kind of had like the "Oh, okay, we're in between phases
Yeah.
kind of thing. Not that in between phases is bad either, but you've got to figure out how to get information.
Yeah.
And I had said last week, okay, these next two episodes are going to be how do we get to Tantus? And then the last two episodes are going to be, okay, let's take Tantus.
Mhm.
Like, and that's exactly what it looks like this is going to end up being because they're gonna have to get the information out of Rampart about how to try to get to Tantus. Because Rampart says at the end, yeah, I don't have the coordinates to Tantus, but I might know a way to get there. Like I so
Which really pissed me off because for one, there was the conversation that um Crosshair
yeah.
had told Hunter and Wrecker, like, oh hey, we might actually have a way to Tantus, and they
That
get
I
all
was like, I'm gonna smack you, Crosshair. Like, did you get that tracker on after all?
I no,
Like,
I was actually super pissed because I thought he was hiding information
yeah,
as far as like actually knowing the location of Tantus because he does give a very PTSD answer
yeah,
to them and says, "Hey, Tantus is not the place I want to be," because he
yeah.
was tortured there for a very long time.
And you can see the hand he's holding it the entire time. Like, the whole reason he can't shoot right now is because of that trauma. There is no physical nature about it other than the psychological holding him back physically.
Mhm.
So, it was a very deft touch, I think, with how they went
Mhm.
with him. Um, we haven't seen a whole lot of Fee this season, but they bring Fee back in because we're like, we don't have a ship. We need
Yeah.
a ship. And I love Fee. She's so great. She's such a great character.
I do like her character. I like her sassiness. I uh like when they're dropping into the planet, the jail planet, and Wrecker's like, "Are you crazy? Like this is like we're gonna get seen, and
Yep.
you know they're as soon as you go through there, radars are gonna pick you up." She's like, "It's me. Like, come
Yeah.
on now. Like, you don't think I've done this before?" Um, so I love her. I would much rather like seeing her more often than possibly being seeing Sid again this season. But the very beginnings of this episode do start with Omega
Mhm.
getting to Tantus uh and uh being reintroduced to Dr. Carr. And you know, Dr. Carr is not so uh
She's hesitant, but she's still
sh-
cooperating with the Empire.
she's still cooperating, but I was gonna say she's not so like happy go lucky with Omega
Yeah.
because there is a softness to her voice at one point. Now Dr. Carr sounds a little bit colder. Not in a not completely changed. You know, she's still very hesitant because you know, like we said last week, like there is definitely going to be a point where Dr. Carr is going to turn. I
Yeah.
know it. Like I feel it. Um, but she has to be cooperative. And so she is testing Omega again for the M count.
Yeah.
Um, and we do see
And
at one, oh,
not
go
the
ahead.
M count, just the replication
Yes,
portion.
correct. Yeah. Um, but we also see, uh, you know, uh, oh shoot, Hemlock
Yep.
go and get confirmation as well. And even Omega's like, what does it mean? Like, what are y'all doing? And
Mhm.
surprisingly, he's Hemlock is the mustache twirling villain. If he could monologue, he would monologue, but he's the type of person to want to show results. So he takes her to the vault. But before we get there, because that's where the episode ends, let's talk a little bit more about Rampart. The escape from there, the retrieval from there. Um, it dawned on me in the middle of this episode. This was some of the footage that we still hadn't
Yep.
seen in the trailer, and they hid Rampart very well
Hmm.
in that sequence in the trailer, because the one scene that you see is where Wrecker is about to jump onto the ramp of the
Yeah.
ship, and they cut the scene very
They
well
did.
to the point
It's
where you
so funny
to where
because
you wouldn't be able to see Rampart.
yeah, because you get Crosshair up on the ramp, and then
Mhm,
Hunter and Wrecker are down below, and in the episode, there's Rampart with them. But
mhm.
even in this, I don't think did I watch all the scene? I don't think because they released the whole scene, and I don't think you saw Rampart in there either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Don't quote me on that, but because I don't necessarily remember. But they released the scene, but in the trailer specifically, yeah, they cut around it just precisely because like there's like 30 seconds of that scene in the
Mhm.
trailer,
Yeah.
and Rampart is nowhere to be seen. And Rampart doesn't disappear until only Wrecker is left on the Juggernaut
Yeah.
transport.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm very impressed with how production went with that clip to hide the fact that they like, you knew they were getting something, but it coulda just been data off the Juggernaut,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it
it
coulda
didn't
just
have
been
to be.
some random mission, and we
Yeah,
would've been like, "Oh, this is the Bad Batch, that's what they do."
yeah.
Um, but, uh, I guess that's really it. There wasn't really anything to, like we said, there wasn't really a whole lot to this because, like Katie had, said earlier, Rampart does give to a point where he tells the Bad Batch, like, it's kinda, complicated on how you get to Tantus and how
Nobody
you get information.
knows,
Yeah.
like and he goes off and which that was, that's something consistent from Legends. What nobody knew where Tantus was. Like, they randomly end up on the planet in Heir to the Empire for where
Mhm.
Tantus is. And so it's like, how do you know what's supposed to be here? Like, kind of thing. So, they kept that up. I'm interested to see how, because Rampart is like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna bargain with you for this information." But, like, dude, you got out of prison. Like,
Yeah, that
w
was their negotiation. It was, "Hey, you either share this information or you can just go right to prison. Like, we're okay with
yeah.
dropping you back off." Um, my question to you, is where do we go next? Where do you think Rampart is going to get the information from?
Um, we might see the senators pop back up.
I think it might be possible for the Senators to pop back up as well. I think that it is very plausible that Rampart tries to negotiate some sort of like immunity,
Yeah.
so that way, like, hey, if you're really gonna, screw with these schemes, uh, I want, this, this, and this. Um,
Yeah, but Rampart's gotta also end up somewhere, because we know at this point he can't go back to the Empire.
mhm.
And Rampart as a character doesn't exist in the original trilogy or Rebels. So he's gotta go somewhere.
Is Rampart
So
a part of Legends?
I don't think so. Um, apparently his first name is Edmund. He does not have a Legends tab on
Okay.
Wikipedia. So let's just scroll all the way down just to make sure. Yeah, Bad Batch, Bad Batch, Bad Batch. Um,
Or he just dies because there's still assassins under the Empire's pay grade. So
yep.
if they find out that he was taken from prison, you could easily connect some dots if you're the Empire, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Um, because we don't know where Tantus ends up after the Empire right now. So could just end up they all end up dead. The
Yeah,
end of it.
which would be a very, I mean, very Rogue One,
Anticlimactic?
very Rogue One. But yeah, I genuinely feel that, because again, like, I mean, life is life. We're all gonna die eventually. That's super morbid. But like, we don't have these characters in any future stories, so it's not like you can be like, hey,
Right.
let's now again with the Mandoverse, a lot of leeway into storytelling has been like, hey, they're actually still alive and they're gonna end up here in another episode of Mandalorian. Like, I could see some things happening like that, but or Ahsoka, like, oh look, they show up in Ahsoka. Um, but I
I
highly doubt
think
that.
is the biggest thing that worries me about how things will end up is Dave Filoni's end of the Mandoverse movie, aka what we're calling the Heir to the Empire movie.
Hmm.
Because Heir to the Empire has Tantus in it in
Yeah.
Legends. So are you going to include Tantus into the mix here?
Like, I want to say that you kind of have to,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like, you're not
We've
really.
already seen cloning facilities for the remnants of the Empire in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So it's not unforgivable to say that they couldn't have just transferred things elsewhere.
Hmm.
And it all just depends on how true of an adaptation it would be.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know things will change with it, but who knows?
Yeah. Very, very true. But the episode ends with Hemlock giving Omega the tour of the vault, and he delivers the line, oh, and this is your home. And like, everything shuts down and closes and everything.
It makes sense to leave her in the vault.
Yeah.
Um, I have to wonder if she will start using some of the techniques that she learned from Gunji, potentially. And some of the techniques she learned from Massage, and seeing if she, because she knows what an M count is now,
Hmm.
vaguely, means you have force sensitivity. Um, so does she try and help the test subjects? Because I can't remember their names, figure out how to use the
Escape.
force and manipulate things. So
I I don't know, because I think Omega would be smart enough to be like, oh well, if these kids start showing force sensitivity, it could get them in trouble and it could end up hurting them in the long run,
yeah,
you know? So, like, I could definitely see her possibly like communicating in some way when everybody is asleep, like when they're all in their cells. Um, but with it being the vault, how much of watch are they under? Are they under 24-hour watch? Are they under
yeah,
watch for only like 16 hours of the day? Like, and on Tantus, like, what are the day cycles like? Like,
yeah,
or the shifts like? Like, Omega has to be very careful in this situation, but I think she's smart enough to know that. So we'll see what's going on.
yeah. Definitely, we'll see you next week. Only 3 episodes to go.
Hmm. Only three. Oh, like, I'm it's so funny. Literally right before we went live, we made a joke to Travis about him needing to just sit down and watch Bad Batch, and he literally responded to that with, Bad Batch just needs to freaking die. Um, and at one point, we felt that way too.
Yep.
and now we're super invested in it. So it's very, very exciting to see how this all ends.
For sure.
Yeah. So
Um, but yeah, Clay, where can they find you?
yeah, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter and any and all social media. Go check out Ranger Alliance, which is the only other show that I have here at the GUA. Have to get with Joe pretty soon because our next episode is up very soon, actually. So go check that out. And oh, want to go ahead and give a shout out to The Living Force is officially
Yes.
out now. We have our review up on the feed. So again, don't know how fast any of you guys read these books. So go check that out. Me and Katie had a lot of fun talking about that book. Katie, where can they find you?
Y'all can find me on most social media platforms. It is at Slice of Katie. This show you can find on Twitter. It is at Star Wars Alliance without the A in the war is very important. Don't forget it. That same username, you can email us. We love hearing from you guys, especially as Bad Batch is coming to an end. An Acolyte is coming. So what we would love to hear from you guys as we get these shows out. Um, and hear some thoughts on the week-to-week drops and obviously the full drop that's going to be Tales of the Empire. So, yeah. With that, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.